can't believe this modification has worked. The world's first M2 Pro iMac. So then guys, with the release of those new Macs that just come out, we got some brand new Mac Minis, and specifically we got the M2 and the M2 Pro chipset put inside them, and an M2 Pro or a Pro chipset is a first for a Mac Mini this time round. Now, as much as the brand new Mac Mini is fantastic and it's small and everything like that, one thing we're missing out there is the iMacs to be updated with an M2 chipset inside it, or even to have an M2 Pro chipset put inside them. And from what we've heard recently, it doesn't seem likely that the iMac is going to be getting an M2 variant of any of the chipsets this time round. We're going to have to wait till basically the M3 series and potentially the M3 Pro. So with this got me thinking, can we create an actual sort of an M2 Pro iMac right now in early part of 2023? So this here is the world's first iMac with an M2 Pro chipset on it being displayed right here. And to be honest, let me show you the little secret in how this is done. So what I've done here is I've mounted a brand new Mac Mini with an M2 Pro inside it onto the back of one of these Apple displays. And this whole setup here, minus the actual Mac Mini, has cost me only about $200 to do it. And it is really easy to do this yourself, this modification. And as you can see here from the front, it looks like that everything is all in one. I'm gonna have to give some credit to Luke Mahoney, because back in 2021, Luke actually created the world's first sort of M1 iMac out there. And what he got was, he got an older sort of iMac, and he actually stuck sort of the chip and the board of a standard Mac Mini actually inside the actual sort of frame of an original sort of 2009 to 2011 27-inch iMac. Now for me, what I haven't done is actually put the Mac Mini actually inside this display, and the main reason behind this is to do with thermals and cooling, because what I didn't want to do was move an M2 Pro inside the casing of one of these iMacs just in case it overheated. That fan is needed. Any of the M2 sort of Pro chipsets out there, and the M2 Max, and even the sort of M1 Ultra, and I'm sure the M2 Ultra is definitely going to need cooling, especially that we've heard in the past, even with the standard M2 chipset inside the likes of the MacBook Air, what doesn't have a fan on it at all, we have ran into some thermal difficulties. So I knew I wouldn't be able to actually stick it inside the casing for this, because I would need space for a fan and also all the sort of circuitry and things like this. But I think this is the next best thing what you can do. And in fact, if I show you here, you can see the thermals with this all switched on are quite low, and the main reason is because everything is left intact inside this actual Mac Mini, and also as you can see here, it's actually all the air is blowing up to the top. Now the modification that I've actually done to this Apple display is a little bit different to your sort of traditional monitor. With the sort of Apple displays that are out there, sadly you don't actually get sort of the sort of Versa mount on them. This is the thing to sort of like hang it on the sort of like your own sort of stand or anything like this, or hang it on the wall. You can't do this with Apple displays, and some people actually do sort of mount their Mac Minis onto the back of these as sort of mounts that you can get on a normal display. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to use everything Apple, and the way how I managed to actually do this is actually buy one of these. This here is an iMac Versa adapter plate, and this basically makes your iMac display or makes your cinema display into something what you could sort of hang on the wall, or you can hang on its own sort of stand with one of these, and they're quite cheap to buy. I actually managed to pick this up for £30 on Amazon, and after taxes and everything, if you translate that, it's probably about $37, but probably you could probably pick it up for $30 in the US as well. And then what I decided to do was to combine that with one of these. This is basically a Mac Mini wall mount, and the great thing about the Mac Mini, because the size of it hasn't sort of changed in about 12 years and the design hasn't changed overall, one of these is compatible with any sort of Mac Mini that is out there right now in the last sort of 12 years. So if you own like a 2010 model, 2012 model, 2014, 18, or even the recent M1 or M2 versions of the Mac Mini, this will also work for you too. And to be honest, even this thing here, this mount that I got here, only cost me about £15 to buy. So again, that's probably about 18, 19 US dollars. But again, probably we've got different tax rules to you. You can probably still pick this up for about $15, $16 yourself, what is really, really cool. Then the actual Apple Cinema display that I have here, this actual cinema display actually cost me around about £140. And again, you could probably pick up one of these displays in the US for about 150 to 160 sort of US dollars. But one thing I would say is you've got to make sure it is a Thunderbolt 2 cinema display. Make sure you get one of them. And also, one extra thing you'll need is one of these. What this is a Thunderbolt 2 to a USB 3 or Thunderbolt 3 adapter, what you'll need for doing this sort of setup. And again, you can pick these up for around about $20, £20 or so, and this is a key thing what you'll need inside this build. And with that, guys, I'm going to now show you how I actually managed to set up and create this sort of M2 Pro iMac with the Mac Mini, and how you can do it exactly the same. As I've said already, guys, I'm going to leave everything in my description of where you can buy all these parts, apart from maybe the Apple Cinema display. You're going to have to go and find one of them yourself, but everything else will be in the links below. But with that, let's go over to my desk. So just getting started here, I just wanted to show you guys what I've got is I've got my Mac Mini and I've also got my cinema display. Now the cinema display has two cables coming out of it here. One is to charge the good old style MagSafe 2 and MagSafe Original, but you don't need that. What we're interested in is this other cable, the Thunderbolt 2 cable, and what we want to do is plug in that adapter, that Thunderbolt 2 to USB-C adapter or Thunderbolt 3 adapter. We're going to plug that in, and then that's also going to go in the back of the Mac Mini, and there we go, that's all in. And we're just going to see if we're going to get a display here, and as you can see here, it all works perfectly fine without anything mounted up, so we definitely know that this sort of idea is definitely going to work. So with that, guys, let's get out everything else out onto my desk. So I've got all the components out, I've got the VESA mount out, and I've also got the mounting bracket for the Mac Mini, and I've got some screws out as well and bits like pieces like that. And then basically, as you can see here, what you actually need to do is just get the main sort of mounting sort of bracket, the VESA one here, and this back sort of plate, sort of line up the four sort of holes at the back here, put the actual sort of main plate what the actual Mac Mini is going to sit on, and it's going to be the four sort of inner screws here. This is one bits and pieces that I bought here, and I'm just going to screw these bits together. As you can see here, they're quite easy using my iFixit kit. And with that done, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you here. As you can see, the sort of Mac Mini is going to sit in here. It slots in lovely like that, and we're ready to go now to actually attach this mount now to the actual cinema display next of all. So lifting up the bracket and sticking it on the back of the iMac is quite simple. It'll just slot in, line it up with the hole. You can see I'm sticking my finger through here, and then what we do is we just want the other plate here, and we want to connect it into, slot it into the back here. Now what I do have, I'm just going to hold it there. I'm going to show you here, you do have these sort of plastic rings here to make things a little bit more comfortable. That's if it's not loose enough, you can stick those in, but we don't need it here for this Thunderbolt sort of display. So yeah, I don't think I'll actually be using these plastic rings whatsoever. So we'll put those to one side, but I'll just tilt the screen back towards you guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the screws here, and I'm going to thread them through. The good news is the back plate, where my other hand is not the one that's threading, sort of holds it all in place. They're already threaded, so you just have to twist with your hand initially to get this in place. So it's quite easy. I'm just going to tighten it up a bit, not too tight, with my screwdriver here, and I'm just going to twist it round, and I'm just going to do the other one just down the bottom here. I'm just going to line up those screws again, put this other screw in here again. Like I said, it's already threaded. Just twist it in like this with your hand initially, get your screwdriver, and then twist this up, as you can see. And I'm just speeding it along here. I'm just going to put the other two screws in as well. So tilting around the display, you can see it's all lined up nicely. The screws are in place, and it's nice and secure. There we go. I'm trying to pull it here. It's nice and fixed on. There's no gap. You've got the hole and everything there. We don't need these plastic bits. Like I said, use them if you do need to, if you have got some space. And the same with these white plastic screws. You don't really need them. Again, they would have been just to make a bit more sort of space. You know, if you had some gaps here, you could use those screws to tighten up bits and pieces. But again, we just don't need them for this. So next of all, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just get my Mac Mini with the ports and everything facing up to the top, as you can see here, and it just slots in really easily. So that is really, really nice and cool that just fits in absolutely perfectly. So that is really good now. And next of all, what we're going to do is we're just going to get this white cable, and we're just going to wrap this around and everything like that. And then we've also got that Thunderbolt to USB sort of cable there as well, so that all works perfectly. So we're really, really happy with that. So I'm just going to keep wrapping this round and then make it nice and tidy. and then as you can see here, I just need to connect it up to the top and everything is done. Last two steps then. First of all, we just have the main power supply then for the actual Mac Mini, and I'm going to feed this through the hole at the back here, up through to the top, and then power and plug it into the power sort of port at the top of the Mac Mini. And then after this, what I've also got is the main sort of power for the actual display, and that can go back through the hole into the back where it normally belongs for everything to be really nice and tidy. So there we go. And there we have it, folks. The world's first M2 Pro iMac, sort of. It's probably, like I said, the best sort of alternative that is out there to stop any sort of throttling issues out there and anything like that, and also give you a 27-inch iMac until the time of the brand new sort of M3 iMacs, and we may even see an M3 Pro or even an M3 Max in maybe a larger iMac in the future. We'll have to wait and see, but there again, there is always the Mac Studio 2. So one question you guys are probably asking already is, why are you not using a brand new studio display that came out last year with the Mac Studio? And the main reason is the stand is very different to what we have with the sort of cinema display and those old sort of iMacs. And with that, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think there is a VES amount for that to do this modification. Plus, also at the same time, if you're paying out say $1,200 or $1,300 on an M2 Pro sort of Mac Mini, then on top you've got to spend like a total of another 1,500 sort of US dollars for a studio display on top. This is going to get quite expensive. It's going to cost like about $3,000 to do this sort of conversion, what I think is really, really expensive. And I think, to be honest, doing it with one of these older cinema sort of displays is far more cheaper for you guys out there, being that you spent so much on your Mac Mini M2 or M2 Pro already. I do also want to say again a big shout out to Luke Mahoney for giving the sort of inspiration behind this, and I do hope, Luke, that you actually create a sort of an iMac of a 27-inch model or something like that where you can actually get the cooling for the M2 Pro from say a Mac Mini. That would be really cool to see. But until that time, this is a great solution, and it's also really cheap to do for yourself too. So give it a go and let me know in the comments below of what your thoughts are of this little sort of alternative mod. I would love to know your thoughts. And on that, guys, it's also time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button, and also if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews and comparisons, please also make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I will see you really soon. Take care. Bye bye.